I'm going to give you a little demo of the Workspaces list, error handling, Workspaces detail page designs. There's a lot of changes that I've proposed, so I'm going to talk through some of them, some of the thinking behind them. Of course, we're going to break these changes out into step-by-step implementations, testing things along the way. So this should be taken as like the vision of what we're working towards. And this will evolve as we implement things and as we test things and as we get new ideas. But yeah, so lots has changed, and the focuses are really on making this Workspaces list more manageable, easier to scan and to read once you have lots of workspaces in this list. It also gives you more information per workspace, more easily accessible, more scannable, whilst also trying to make sure that information is manageable and not. So starting from the top to the bottom, we have this sorting button. So you can sort the workspaces by recent activity, by status, and whatever else that we find that our users will find. Cool. We have an expand all and collapse all button, which is something that was requested because the sections here are collapsible and expandable. So looking at the collapsed state first, we have on the left a status indicator. This is a combination of a color and an icon. The color, so it's scannable. The icon, so it's accessible for some for that may be colorblind or may not be sensitive to colors, or use assistive technologies that don't display colors. Looking at this item itself, let's call it like a list item. There's repeating elements, so there's always a primary action, and the primary action will be dependent on the state of the. So in this case, I just see that the state for this workspace is failed. This popover will, that you see here with the additional status information, will be visible in the collapsed state. It's just a work of this type. So yeah, so for this workspace that's in a failed state, the primary action would be see error log. For a workspace that's in a ready or a running state, the primary action will always be open. For a workspace that's starting, the primary action will be open workspace, but with the caveat that the button's disabled, right? And disabled button has a tooltip, right? Tells you why it's disabled. So coming back to here, in a workspace that's paused, the primary action would be start, right? So if we keep this idea that every item in this workspace list at the top level always has a primary action that's relevant to its status, then this can expand to any status that we have. So there's going through the elements on this bar. The project or the group and the project are always visible, copy pastable, right? And we've removed the space, which was something that was requested. And the branch that the workspace is on is visible. Ideally, and there's obviously talk about whether this is possible at all, whether it's feasible. But again, this is a visionary look at this, right? Also show the number of changes on that branch inside the workspace and find another Gitty type thing. The primary action, jumping about a bit. Primary action we spoke about, the context menu. So the context menu has additional items: stop, restart, terminate, and a new option that will take you to the logs for the workspace. Get onto that in a minute. And then expand, collapse chevron. So this expand all and collapse all buttons expand all of the items and collapse all of the items. These also have keyboard shortcuts that are aligned with merge request. Request changes tab has these same buttons. We'll use the same keyboard shortcut. So I'm just expanding this top item. You see that we have a lot of information here that's all related to this particular workspace, and different items in this table will be relevant to different people, to different use cases. They're organized roughly in everything in the left column is related to the code, everything in the right column, workspace, entity, or the system, let's say. So you'll notice this here actually. The name of the workspace is editable, right? Right now is whatever is the random generated URL is the name workspace. So to expand on that, I say name, it's a bit of a misnomer because the name technically will remain the same, but we're introducing this description concept, and the description is editable. And this is to help users manage and organize their own workspaces in their own way. So the URL, right, the name, not really that human friendly. If I have 3 workspaces all on the same project, all on the same branch, not sure why, but that could plausibly happen. Then it's pretty difficult to differentiate between them, and currently the only way we present to differentiate between them in fashion is like when it was created. It's a lot of cognitive overhead to remember that and to keep track of that. So we make the description, the part that's displayed here, editable. And I can call it, this is exploration 1, this is whatever thing, and this is whatever's going to help me remember which workspace is for what. So we're bringing lots more information about the workspace into this glance view, and anything that refers to another entity, for lack of a better word, within GitLab is a link, right? So it's not really visible here, but up here, this is a link to the project. This is a link to the branch. So the blue ones are more obvious. This is a link to the dev file. In this particular case, this branch was started from a merge request. So the merge request, the changes that we spoke about are browser here. The open ports are linkable and accessible from the URL to go to Workspaces. And on the system column, self-explanatory. This table can expand or can start with fewer things, and as we build and introduce more things over time, and it can expand beyond this, and it can be less than this, depending on what information we deem important, what comes up, such and so on. One thing I'll point out related to the status of the workspace is this new health section. This is something we definitely don't have at the moment, and it's something that useful for our customers. This will surface at a glance level any errors that are on the. For something with no errors, the health would be. So I think I covered everything here. Yep. Okay, so let's get back to this logs page. There's 2 ways to access this. On a running workspace, there's only one way, right? Because the primary action is open workspace and logs live under this context. But for a failed or errored, or failed or errored, and maybe some other states, some other lines. But for a workspace in that state, the primary action, the next step, or the thing that I most likely want to do is to see error logs. So I can access the error logs either from here or from here, and click the see error button. And we get to this new page. This new doesn't exist yet. We have at the top the same information as before. Again, sorry, it's an artifact of the prototype that this text has changed, but this would description of the glance information as well, and this new error log section, or log section, I suppose it doesn't need. This is using existing components. This is the tabs component, and the output here is from the jobs UI from the running. Same So the idea for this page, I don't know the page, but an idea for this section, this view, is that the logs button and the logs concept for Workspaces, as we've just seen it, is kind of just the first step, and the future state really would be some world in which there are both logs for the workspace and a broader settings. Not clear right now what settings would go in there, but you can see how this could expand in the future, include things like some permissions, audit trail stuff, permanently deleting a workspace versus stopping it, and other operations like that. So let me just recap what we looked at. Workspaces list view. Change the visual style of each of the workspaces. We have a status indicator down the left. All of the information that we can present to a user based on the workspace, about the workspace, belongs in this glance view that can be expanded and collapsed, either by clicking on the white space in the item, chevron here, or the expand all and collapse all buttons. The name of the workspace is really a description of the workspace, which is user editable. The primary action that's present on every workspace list item that always takes you to the most relevant thing, most relevant operation, most relevant action workspace. Context menu that contains a link to the logs always. Glance view has two primary columns. The column on the left is related to the code, the column on the right. And everything that relates to an entity that exists within GitLab is a link to that thing in GitLab. And we're surfacing in the health section glance views of errors as well as the full. So I look forward to hearing your feedback, and thank you very much for your time.